Welcome to Roxtalks, the podcast that helps network marketers grow their business on social media. I'm Roxanne Wilson, and I am here to talk to you about being an imposter. What? Yeah, we're going to be talking about the imposter syndrome today. And I thought, it's something we all struggle with. I do. Do you? Where you think, who am I to be posting that? Who am I to be saying that? Who wants to listen to me, Roxanne? Who wants to see my selfies? I just don't get it. But I thought in order to have a full conversation, I wanted to bring an expert to you to talk about this. And her name is Kelley Tenny. Let me tell you a little about Kelley Tenny. She is a university professor for 19 years. Yeah, amazing, right? Where she influenced hundreds of people's health and wellness annually. She also is a life coach, a health and wellness coach, I should say, whose program, L.I.F E, L-I-F-E, all stand for something, method shifts the way that entrepreneurs do business, helping them thrive instead of leading lives of sacrifice. Her signature life method combines implementable goals, mindset, diet, and movement to build a sustainable lifestyle that her clients love. Now, she lives in Long Beach, she's just up the road from me. But here's what's interesting. I met Kelley through the Prepared for Performer. Molly Mahoney. She's been on the show before. And one of the things that Molly Mahoney's company that they work on and share is about chatbots. And I knew I needed to get my chatbot going. Some of you have been in my chatbot. Yeah. Well, I needed help doing that. And Kelley, who is on the Prepared Performer team, taught a master class. It was amazing on chatbots. And every time someone tells me, I love your chatbot, I'm like, it wasn't me. I learned it from Prepared Performer, specifically from Kelley. And so I knew that we needed to get her on here. I hope that from this episode, you learn that it's okay to feel like you're an imposter. You learn what you can do when you're feeling that imposter feeling and how you can work through it. And you also learn that even when there's technical difficulties, which there will be, we're both in California. This is being recorded with the Santa Ana winds, and there were technical difficulties. We press through because this message is so important for you. So let's go ahead and dive in. Here's Kelley Tenny. When you think about your social media, do you feel like you're seriously on a struggle bus? I mean, like you're doing all the things you've been told to do. Perhaps you're being told to post all the time, all about your product, or you're posting about whatever it may be, but you're not seeing the traction. You're putting in the time, but man, oh man, you're not seeing the results. Well, then I encourage you to join us for the How to Get Off the Struggle Bus, a webinar that is coming up on the 15th of this month. It's a live webinar where I'm going to walk you through 3 important things. You're going to learn how to identify the roots of your social media struggle. You're going to learn the most effective way to mastering social media for network marketers. And you're also going to learn the single most important purpose of social media for your network marketing direct sales business. If you're feeling like you're exhausted with the daily posting, if you're scared to post, or even if you've built your business pre-social media and you just don't know how to get it done right, I want to see you there live. Find out and sign up for this live and free webinar at socialstoriesmembership.com/webinar. And P.S. And by the way, when you attend live, I have some free gifts for you that is going to help you move the needle in your business right there, right then. Be sure to reserve your spot now so that you can get a front row seat to this live and fantastic event. Kelley Tenny, thank you so much for being here with us today. I cannot wait to dive into all things you. And I have to tell you, I have a bit of a girl crush on you. So just letting you know that I do. You taught me amazing things with chatbots. And I'm like, oh, she's the real deal. And I think it's probably because you have a professor. I mean, you're a professor. You're the real deal.
Yeah, I am. I definitely wear 2 hats in the entrepreneurial space, and then teaching here locally in Southern California at Cal State Long Beach. So I'm always switching back and forth between the 2 hats, and it's always fun.
Awesome. And I have to ask you this really quickly because, we're in what I like to call the lockdown. So are you virtually teaching right now, or how's that working?
Yeah, so we have been virtual since mid-March. And it was one of those, we'll see you after spring break, which was mid-April. And we stayed virtual. They actually just announced that we are going to be virtual through the summer.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. And I think this is all the Cal State systems, and that they're hoping that we get back to normal in the fall. Yeah. And so it's been an interesting, it's been interesting to like experience the difference in teaching, virtually. And as you know, I do so much on the entrepreneurial stuff that is on Zoom, that is through Facebook Live, it is through video. And it's been tough teaching, without my face-to-face students. I've really missed them.
I
And
bet that
it's
interaction's so special.
yeah, and the connection is completely different. So, but I will say, like, I have to salute the Cal State system. One of the reasons why they're doing it is so that we don't yo-yo, so that we're not like, oh, we're back. Oh, just kidding. Oh, we're at home.
Mhm.
Okay, let's try to go back, So I feel like even though it's not a great situation, at least our students can bank on this is how it's going to be without going back and forth. So
And they can plan accordingly, which helps for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
That
But
is
they've been struggling. It's been hard.
we are definitely humans, we can cope and we can adapt, but things can be hard, which
Mhm.
actually is a great segue into the world of network marketing and imposter syndrome. But before we dive into that, you have a background with network marketing, correct?
I do. I have quite a background with network marketing. And in fact, Molly Mahoney, who is who I work with at the Prepared Performer and do the business coaching with, we met through a network marketing company on a cruise, on an
Oh, wow.
incentive cruise. Yeah, and she was on her way out starting her new business, and I was looking for, more opportunity, and so that's what led us. So yeah, it's been years. We were with network marketing companies for years, so, and we work with them now, which is amazing
It
also.
is. It is. Or just a reminder that network marketing will gives you relationships that can turn into amazing, amazing lifetime friendships and partnerships for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, one of the things, well, the big thing I want to talk to you about today is the concept of imposter syndrome. And I kind of think just the term imposter syndrome has been used so much, maybe overused, maybe not. But can you break it down for us of how you define imposter syndrome?
Yeah. So, for me, when I think about imposter syndrome, and usually when I'm talking to entrepreneurs and they're explaining how they're feeling, or they're explaining some of the challenges or barriers that are keeping them in their eyes from growing their business, I can usually go like, oh, that's imposter syndrome, right? But ultimately, to put it simply, it's just that, who am I feeling? It's that feeling of, you know um that you don't belong, maybe that you haven't earned your place, kind of that, who am I to be doing what I'm doing, is for me what imposter syndrome actually is.
Yeah. And with social media, who am I to be the person who's telling you about this product or how great this is? Or who am I to think that I can do a Facebook Live and people should listen to me?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think with network marketing, it's heightened more than like a 9 to 5 job, because in 9 to 5 jobs, you have your role, you know where you are, you're given that title, and that title gives you the status. But I think it's interesting in network marketing, it's a little bit, I mean, you've got so much competition just
Mhm.
inside of your company alone. Now you're being told you've got to, it's almost like, was it Ginger Rogers who said like women have to tap dance or dance backwards and in high
Yeah.
heels. Now
Mhm.
you have to run your business on social media and put yourself out there.
Mhm.
And when I think about the customers I work, my clients, a lot of times they say like, I don't know what my deal is. I know what I need to be doing. I've got all the things, but I just can't get myself to post. I just can't get, and really to me at that point, it becomes a mindset issue. So when you first, I'm going to ask you, what are the
Mhm.
things that you, and mindset, again, that's an overused word, so forgive me for that. But when you see things with your clients and you're like, that's an imposter syndrome issue, can you give us some examples of that?
Yeah, so, and I think social media really has heightened that sense of imposter syndrome. But one of the most common things I think I see with imposter syndrome is that it's two things. It's one, it's the comparison. It's
Mm,
that, like, well, I'm not like this person. So who am I to think that I can have a certain level of success? Who am I to try to do the same thing? Who am I to even, try to be in the same space type of thing? And so it's comparison very often is where I see the imposter syndrome when I hear them comparing themselves to others. The
Mhm.
other part of that very often is the worth, that like worth of like, who am I to be thinking I'm worth their time, their attention, their trust, even some entrepreneurs, their money, depending
Mhm.
on what it is that they're doing. So, and I think they go hand in hand with the comparison and the worth.
How do you
But
work
very
through those?
often, how do you work through those?
Mhm.
Well, obviously, they say comparison is the thief of joy. So one is stop comparing yourself. And, I know in network marketing, it's so difficult because I do think that part of what, the companies do is they really set a space for the comparison, do the incentives, they shout out the people who are at the higher levels.
Mhm.
They and I know they do it for motivation, and that's very motivating if you're one of those people. But if you're not, I feel like it almost feeds in exactly to that, like, I'm not like this person, so who am I to think that I can go to that level? And so I think the
Totally.
first thing is stop looking at everybody else.
Which I agree with you, right? But
Mhm.
that's easier said than done, wouldn't you say?
Yes. Yes.
So what are some things that you would encourage someone who's trying to stop looking to actually stop? It's like saying like don't look like don't you got to try that like don't look at that and when you look at it just because you're told don't look at it, right? So how do we not look? How do we not
Yeah.
compare?
Yeah. I think one thing is to separate your feelings from fact. I think it's recognizing that, I'm not like this person, and recognizing that, like, that is a fact. And there shouldn't be a negative connotation around it,
Mm,
and so whether it's I feel stupid because I tried to do what she did, or, whatever, what is the fact? The fact is, are you making money in your company? And if you are, that is success. Maybe you felt stupid, but did it go really well? Or did you get a great response? And if you did, then that is the fact, right? So it's really just focusing on the fact
mm.
of what is like currently happening in your space versus worrying about what's happening in everybody else's space.
That's so good. When as you say that, I just thought to myself, part of that is probably helps if you actually remember why you got into your network marketing business in the first place and
Mhm.
not the goals of other people that you keep seeing paraded around. Is that why do you even want those things that that person is getting?
Right, right. And I think the other part of that is also like breaking the silence, right? It's really about being authentic. And something that I learned in network marketing, and I still see it all of the time, is everybody has these feelings to some extent, where they are network marketers
Mhm.
or in a 5 job. Imposter syndrome shows up for everyone. I'm going to say more than once. And so, when you just break that silence of, I'm doing a Facebook Live and I'm going to be honest, I'm feeling a little stupid for doing this, but I'm just going to do it anyways because this is what I'm doing to lean in to grow my business. I think people appreciate that,
Yeah.
just starting that conversation. And sometimes I think, we talk often about, especially in network marketing, what makes you different than the other 10,000, 100,000 other people that you sell. And part of it is that connection. It's letting people know who you are so they can be like, wow, I really love her. So I'm just going to buy from her because I resonate with her. And when we break the silence, I think that's the beginning of, one, you're not an imposter. You're being honest. You're being honest with how you feel. And two, opening the door to allow people to connect with you.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. So it's really helping others, but it's helping you internally work through your fear or your issues with getting out there. I
Mhm.
love that. And
Yeah.
also, I think it rings true because it allows people to be who they are where they are. It's not the let me wait until I get to a certain level or till I feel like
Mhm.
I'm good enough to be putting myself out there. I'm going to put myself out there as I am and just be really authentic about how this might actually terrify me. So, Kelley, you were talking also about knowing our own worth. And how would you recommend that a network marketer figures out their own worth?
I think obviously when we talk about worth, it's being able to accentuate like the positive, right? I mean, I think this is so hard because typically we're not trained to do this, but it's owning like what you're great at, right? I
Mm,
mean, it's really recognizing your strengths. And for example, the one of the companies that I skincare, and I typically don't wear a lot of makeup. Um, I'm a mom. People are lucky if they get lip gloss and lipstick at this point, So I've just always been that simple face kind of person. And I went through this like, who am I? Who am I to sell makeup? I don't wear a lot of makeup. Who am I to, talk about eyeliner when I couldn't care less about the wing tipped eye or anything like that. And that's when imposter syndrome would kind of creep up. And then like it's really just recognizing that that is a strength, right? The fact that I'm okay going out with a fresh face. I don't feel the need to wear a lot of makeup. That is a positive thing, right? It's not a bad thing. It's not for everyone,
mhm.
but there are certainly a lot of people out there that resonate with, I don't want to spend an hour putting my makeup on either, but that doesn't mean I have to go out, without a face. And that doesn't mean that I have to, I'm ready. All of us. And the fact that your positives are your worth, right? And what is in my bank is not in someone else's bank.
Mhm.
But
Um, it should be no surprise to you by now that we're having technical difficulties. You guys know I always give it to you real. So I'm going to turn off my camera if you're watching on YouTube. Sorry. But you're going to see Kelley and hopefully that'll work. We both are in California and there are some Santa Ana winds going crazy outside. So I think that might be part of it. So Kelley, you were talking about how one, and it was a big question I asked you, which I realized that, but how do we find our worth? So please let us know.
yeah, so, we were talking about finding our worth and having that be like one of the ways to beat the imposter syndrome. And I think the first thing is with our own worth, which sometimes is the hardest. It's really looking at and accentuating the positive in ourselves, right? Like really being able to recognize that what makes X, Y, and Z person worthy is not the same definition that you have to have, for your own worth. And the things that make them worthy are not the same things that make you worthy. And, I shared when I was doing network marketing, I was with a makeup and skincare company, and I have a very fresh face. I don't wear a lot of makeup. Sometimes it's just like powder and mascara and maybe some eyeliner. And I had a lot of imposter syndrome around, these high level people in the company who were doing these hour-long makeup tutorials and teaching about contouring and how to do the perfect wingtip eyeliner. And, I had so much imposter syndrome around who am I? Like, I barely wear a lot of makeup. My makeup routine's got to be 10 minutes or less, or it's just not happening. And once I was able to switch that and recognize that that is a positive, right? That it's not for everyone, but there are a lot of women out there who are like, yes, 10 minutes or less. Yes, please.
Mhm.
Um, that is a positive thing. And, I was able to recognize my worth in my own space and how I was able to show up and serve others and be able to embrace that what made me worthy was not the same thing that made other people worthy, right? I didn't
Mhm.
have to follow what they were doing. I basically had to write my own script, right? And change the rules to step into my own worth and be able to leave out what everyone else around me was doing.
That is key. And I feel like what you just said is really people finding their superpower, people
Mhm.
understanding their target market, understanding their brand, all of that rolled into one. Because as you're saying that, I'm thinking to myself, if you go into network marketing and you think that you have to reach everybody, then you will think that you have to reach those people that really may not relate to you. But if you're like, I'm relating to, like with the example you gave, Kelley, of I'm relating to a woman who has 10 minutes or less and needs to figure out how she can put on some makeup in that amount of time. If you know your target market, it really helps you feel like more like an expert, like you know what the heck you're talking about.
Yeah, and I think one of the things with network marketing also that goes along with what we're talking about is with all good intention, so many companies tell people this is what you have to do, right? And
Mhm.
so while they're setting some guidelines for how to be worthy of people's sales, with the intention to help, I think that every network marketer needs to understand that it's not all for everyone.
Mhm.
And I think that's part of the imposter syndrome. It's like, oh, my company says that I have to do this, but I don't feel like that fits for me, or I don't feel like I'm, authentic if I'm going to do that. And so giving yourself permission to say, but I can do this, and I'm just the rules, and I'm going to run my business in a way that is authentic. For example, like let's say a weight loss company, take a picture of your before and after, and that's great for many. But there's also a lot of people that are like, "Are you kidding? I'm not taking a picture of any before and after because I'm shy just taking selfies, right? Much less taking
Mhm.
pictures of my body or my weight loss." That's when the syndrome comes in. It's like, oh, everyone else is doing this. Who am I to be thinking I'm going to be successful when I can't even post a before and after? And it's
Mhm.
recognizing that you don't have to. What is the way you can share your own weight loss journey in an authentic way without doing what everyone else is doing? And that makes you more worthy, right? That makes you more authentic. That makes you more unique, I think,
Yeah.
than what everyone else is doing.
That's so good. So, for the person out there listening who's like, I see all these examples that aren't me, don't try and mimic the example.
Mhm.
Unpack what they're doing and see how you can modify that to really speak to who you are.
Mhm.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's really, really important. I think that social media has helped us in so many ways, but I think has increased the whole imposter syndrome
Mhm.
feeling because even metrics, and I'll give like Instagram some props. They've tried to hide metrics, although mine never did get hidden. I don't think they did. But did yours? I
No,
still.
no.
But even the thought process of, hey, if you don't see how many people liked something, maybe you won't feel that, oh, she has X amount of followers or X amount of likes. So she should be speaking on this and I shouldn't. Um,
Mhm.
I do think it heightens all of this and puts a magnifying glass on it.
Mhm.
And I guess my question to you is when it comes to maneuvering that on social media specifically, how would you recommend someone goes about even their day-to-day social media activity?
I think the key that we've kind of been touching upon this entire conversation is the key. I currently use products that are with a certain network marketing company, and so I am but however, I'm in a group. So I think one of the biggest things with social media is staying within the theme of what we've been talking about, throughout this conversation, which is all about authenticity. And I think that there's two things with social media. One is the visibility, right? Social media increases the visibility, not just for how people can see you, but what you are seeing in other people, which is where that challenge with comparison comes in. But, I'm currently just a rep with a network marketing company, and they are really trying to do leaps and bounds with helping their reps who are looking to move up in the company with social media. And one of the things that they do is they send a text message of what everyone should post on their social media today,
Mm-hmm.
which I can see the benefits and how that's helpful for people who are new or who aren't really, social media savvy. But for me, I'm like pumping the brakes and kind of screaming on the inside,
Yeah.
thinking, no, do not post the same thing that the other 1,000 people receiving this text are posting, because to me, that's where that imposter syndrome comes in. It's just like, it's that feeling of inauthenticity of, who am I? All these people are posting this same thing. Who am I to post the same thing as them? Or who am I to be posting this when this isn't even exactly true?
Right.
I think you really just have to go back to, does it feel good? And does it feel right? And if it doesn't, don't post it or rewrite it until it does.
Yeah, that is so key. And it's funny you say that because my clients have sent me calendars that they've been given about exactly what to post for a month. And I cringe every time I see that. And if you have a team, I would encourage you to stop doing that because
Mhm.
like you said, not only does it make people feel like they're imposters, but the truth of the matter is people who read that know it's not you.
Yeah.
And I think that if your confidence with going out on social is such that you're nervous about it, the worst thing that could happen in that moment is someone writing back and giving you kind of backlash or saying, "Who is this? What?" Like you don't even sound like yourself. That makes you not want to post at all.
Right.
So I
Right.
feel like it really backfire on you. But I hear you. I think authenticity is so important. And that's not to say that there's not good intentions, like you said, on sending out, hey, it's trying to get into the activity of posting. But it's better to post, or would you say, let me ask you this, would you say it's better to post something that's authentically yours rather than posting really just random company type branded things?
Yeah. And if you talk about that phrase, imposter syndrome, of that, who am I to be doing this? I believe that that potentially is part of what contributes to that.
Mhm.
There's got to be something internally where, you're recognizing, this is not me. This is not my post. This is not about my life. This is not unique to who I am as a person. And I think that really subconsciously feeds into, because there's that little voice that's recognizing this is not authentically you. And when you're trying to be someone you're not, or trying to be someone else, I really think that's when imposter syndrome gets triggered.
Yeah. Along those lines, though, Kelly, I think about it. And by nature, doing a network marketer means you're not selling your own goods.
Hmm.
And so maybe initially that allows the imposter syndrome to come in initially anyway, because it's not, you might be like, you didn't create it, you didn't come up with the concept, and yet it's your business.
Yes.
How would you say someone at the get go? Because I really do feel like that door kind of it's open a little bit for imposter syndrome in that moment. Um, is there anything besides what we've talked about so far on ways to kind of battle that you would recommend someone from the get go gets into their head when they're like, I'm going to join a company and it's not my product, but it's going to be my business?
Yeah. One of my biggest rules is always, practice what you preach, be the lifestyle. I think when we are with network marketing companies, I do believe that network marketers are more than just people selling other people's products. I
Hmm.
think the really successful network marketers out there are the ones who are truly also embracing and living the lifestyle that the companies and the products stand for. And I think that's the biggest thing. The biggest thing is being able to say, is this product, or is this company and what they stand alignment with my own lifestyle. So all the way down to, do you use the products? Do have the products been game changers for you? And if they have, to me, that's the key of finding a company where you can share and you can serve others authentically, because you are actually authentically also a customer, also using the products. And so, for me, that was one of the biggest reasons I left the makeup and skincare company, because they had, hundreds of great products, 90% of which I will never use because I'm not that big of a makeup person. I
Mhm.
realized, who am I to try to sell, I don't know, under eye cream when I don't use it on a daily basis?
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think it's owning that and giving yourself the permission to be honest about, maybe all your friends are with them, or maybe you do love their lipstick, or maybe they do have a great comp plan. But if you can't really embrace the lifestyle that the products stand for, I think you're starting off on the wrong foot from the very beginning.
Ooh, that's huge on several levels. I think one, because I know that some would teach you, hey, when you're prospecting someone about joining a network marketing business, encourage them to just join and then try the products instead of
Right.
trying the products and being a customer and then deciding to sell it.
Yeah, and I've definitely been around long enough. I've had big enough teams to recognize that those kidnappers, as we call them very often, they don't last,
Yeah.
and it's not sustainable to try to sell something that you haven't used or had really amazing results with.
Mhm. Mhm. I think it's also from the person who's prospecting them's standpoint, it's remembering, are you thinking about them,
Right.
or are you thinking about yourself and
Hmm.
what your needs and what your quota might be in that moment?
Hmm.
So in talking about this in general, what would you say to those who have teams where people are looking to them for guidance on posting, on credibility, on how can that they help that trickle down to their teams?
So I think, from the leader perspective, one of the best things to do is to really support and embrace your team in finding, you know, what to post in their own way. So, let's say that the team says that, every Thursday should be a product that's shared. And, maybe instead of saying, copy and paste this is the product we're all sharing, it's more of a guidance of, this is the day where we share one of our favorite products. Here's an example. Now pick your own product, and follow the template. So maybe it's more about like guiding them and giving them templates versus giving them a script to cut and paste.
Yeah, and giving them permission to make that decision on their own.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think if team leaders presented social media with, in terms of, here are some ideas, here are some themes, here are some examples, turn around and create your own. One, I think that they do need that permission, especially people who are newer to network marketing. I think there sometimes is that fear of, am I going to post the wrong thing? So what better thing for a team leader to do to say, like, make it your own, like switch up the wording, if you wouldn't use the word awesome, don't use the word awesome in your post, like, and really just support people in developing their new script. Here's a sample script, now make your own. Kind of like Mad Libs, right? If you could Mad Lib and say, fill in the blanks here, here's the idea, but fill in your own words. I think it's not only more supportive of your team members, I think as a team in general, and I know many of you know that this happens, is it's also preventing someone who is friends with a large number of your team members from opening their Facebook page and seeing the exact same post
Mhm.
from 10 different people, which I always just grimace when I'm like, oh, really? Like, you guys can't even coordinate what day you're going to post. You're just all going to post the same thing all at the same time. And I think that, from a customer standpoint, it obviously is more authentic when you can see that the posts are their own, when you can tell that it is something that's coming from them and not something that's been cut and pasted.
That's huge.
Mhm.
And I think we talk so much about the simplicity or the buying your, a business in a box that that I think sometimes even when we're looking into a network marketing company, we're like, well, it's so easy. They have this all slated for me and that and that. And really, you don't want them to have the scripts for you. You want them to
Exactly.
have the tools for you to create and modify and build your business.
Yes. Yeah. And I think when you find a company or a team leader that does that, I actually think that's going to help reduce that imposter syndrome.
Oh, I agree with you. Totally, totally. Because in that process of you learning how to create it on your own, you have more ownership in it. You don't feel like
Mhm.
you're just saying what someone else said to say. And
Yep.
gives you that confidence. That's so brilliant.
Yeah.
Question for you, because I know we mentioned Facebook Lives and whatnot. If you were speaking to the network marketer who is deathly afraid of doing Facebook Lives or whatever the thing would be on a social media platform that is the growth tool for the moment, right?
Mhm.
Um, would you encourage them to do it anyway, or would you say if you just can't, just don't find another way?
Well, in terms of especially Facebook, we know that live video is going to help with the algorithm that will allow them to get more engagement and more visibility. So
Mhm.
I definitely would say if there is a way to go live, it is something that will improve the visibility and the engagement that people are seeing for their business. One of the things that I always tell people who are new at Facebook Live is helping them recognize that in the beginning, if you go live, it doesn't necessarily have to be your face in the camera. So, let's pretend that I'm new to Facebook Live and I'm not ready to talk in the camera yet, but being outdoors and being active is something that my network marketing company embraces as part of their lifestyle. Maybe it's something as simple as going for a hike and going live and showing the scenery and maybe not my face.
Nice.
Right. So they're getting that live interaction. You're able to still share your lifestyle and some of the things that are going on in your life. Maybe it's something personal, like doing a video of, I don't know, your cat, your kitten playing, or whatever it is. But it's just hitting that live button and recognizing that if it's not you talking, you don't have to be the star of the show, but live will still allow people to connect with you, to see what you're all about, and to really leverage that algorithm without having to be the face of the video until you're more comfortable. Maybe it starts with a silent video where you're sharing scenery, then a couple weeks later you're sharing the scenery but now you're talking so they can hear your voice until you get comfortable enough to hit that rotate button and come on screen. I think you can do it little by little, and I definitely think doing it in any way is better than not doing it at all.
I like that. I like that. So do it, but find a way to do it where it's really little nuggets till you're ready to bite off the whole candy bar. Don't
Yeah.
ask me why I thought of a
Yes.
candy bar there, but I did. Because
Because it's almost lunchtime, that's why.
it's almost
And
lunchtime.
Halloween.
There you go. Both
Yeah.
those things. This has been so good. And I really appreciate you coming on to talk about imposter syndrome because it's an ongoing thing. And so I have another question for you. For those who think that they have, and this is me, I mean, this, and maybe even you, Kelley, where I'm like, I have battled imposter syndrome. I got out there, I got on that ledge, I'm feeling good. But then there seems like there's another ledge, and I feel like imposter trying to climb up that one as well, too. How does one work through it time after time after time?
I think the way to keep going is really just always focusing on giving yourself credit where credit is due. It's really like I think if we could just scale back and see our successes, every single step of the way, I think that climb gets less, it's less of like a long road, right? Or the climb isn't, the mountain doesn't seem so big when you're just looking 10 feet in front of you.
Mm.
And so, I think it's really like, especially with network marketing companies, if we're talking about like hitting a status, let's say, it's like, certain statuses or ranks can seem so far away, but it's really recognizing that every dollar you sell or every, milestone you hit is one milestone closer. And I think it's really just seeing the more instant successes and
Yeah.
allowing yourself to celebrate those more frequent successes and not holding off until that big long-term, thing is that you're initially striving for.
Yeah. That goes back to what you said at the beginning about network marketing companies, of course, celebrate people to try
Mhm.
and motivate others, but sometimes we forget to celebrate the small, and I don't even want to call them small because that might have been, looking back on your journey, that might have been the hardest step you took, was one that was actually not technically to get to the top rank, but getting a little bit further.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that for team leaders, for network marketing companies, hey, if you're listening corporate, it would be helpful to find a way to really encourage people at each level for the tiny things they do, as opposed to you're now at this rank, you're now at that rank.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I'm in a group right now, and it's like every sale, they celebrate every sale,
I love that.
whether
That's
it's a $7 sale or a $700 sale. And I think that's important. I mean, I think when we're talking about that, who am I? What am I doing? Am I where am I supposed to be? You really just have to focus on your successes and give yourself credit every single step of the way, because it's not easy. It doesn't matter where you're at in the company. It doesn't matter how new you are. It doesn't matter what your sales are. I think something that we don't often talk about is it's just as hard for everyone else as it is for you. I don't ever hear one person say, oh my gosh, this is like the easiest thing in the world. Right? I mean, everyone's struggling with time. Everyone's trying to figure out how to schedule. Everyone's nervous when they push Facebook Live,
Yeah.
whether they've done it once or 100,000 times. And if you don't celebrate every step, that journey can become a really long,
You can.
not fun journey, right? To
Yeah.
get to where you want to be.
You're like the Simpsons, like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? And it's like, you're
Yeah.
never there. You're never there. In
Yeah.
our social stories community right now, we're really focusing on holiday, because holiday is not only important to close the year, but also to kick off a great 2021. And one of the things we're doing is celebrating all of the things. So even like, hey, I decided what my holiday special is going to look like. Not just like, hey, I sold it or I hit my goals, but I actually am in motion thinking about the holidays right now. Um, and I'm noticed as I think as women, we don't like to share our successes. We're
Mhm.
not very good at that. And so it took a couple of posts and a couple coaxing to me, and really me just calling out people who'd had wins, to say, hey, but now what I see is that people are diving in and really talking about their wins, and or here's my struggle. I've done this, but I can't quite figure out how to get to here. And the group is helping each other and cheering each other on in a beautiful way.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes that gets lost on the company level sometimes. And again, it's not, it's, I think with a network marketing company, they're trying to, there's too many people, there's too many targets. It's the
Yeah.
whole market, and so
Right.
it's hard to focus on that. But I know, in mentioning holiday, um, I think that the imposter syndrome becomes a bigger deal in the holidays, just because everything seems magnified in the holidays. Holidays are just heavy in general. What would you say to someone who's dealing with, I mean, holidays are great too, don't get me wrong, but what would you say to someone who's dealing with, or would you say that there's any difference on a normal basis with imposter syndrome versus the holidays, or even maybe 2020 holidays, which are even more special?
Yeah, I think that there's an interesting shift during the holidays in that Thanksgiving comes around. It's all about gratitude, 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 being grateful for the things that you have. And I think that puts people in a strange position in terms of pushing, pushing, pushing. I want more. I want to keep climbing the rank and growing my business and increasing my income. And then it's almost like this dead halt of like, oh, wait, but I'm supposed to be grateful for what I have.
Ooh, yeah.
And I always, this is something I personally struggle with, not just around the holidays, but in general. I'm really just always that like, where is the fine line of being completely grateful for how my life is now and wanting more?
Yes.
And I think the holidays kind of does that. It's like we're focusing on people who have less, and so it almost seems like stingy to want more. And I think with that, I think it's that imposter syndrome again. It shifts from like who I am to try to be like this to like who am I to want more? Shouldn't I be grateful that I'm at this rank and that I make this much a month? Like, who am I to want more of this when there are people out there that have less? And it plays like an interesting role change, and I think it has to be like with that, it has to be like a both and. Like, we can be grateful for what we have. And, I believe that wanting more, like desiring more, is really like this beautiful whisper from the universe that there's more out there.
Mm, mm,
And so, during this time, I think it's really leaning into the celebration of what you have and recognizing that there is more. And also, the more that you serve, the more that you can impact
yeah.
and the more people whose lives you can change. And I think that's a great attitude to have during the holidays is, how can I use what I have and be grateful for what I have and take my business and really serve others and, make, whether it's brightening their day or completely changing their life, it's how can I just positively impact others through this time.
Ooh, that's so good. And that's so true, that struggle between contentment and wanting more, that I do believe women deal with more than men.
Yes.
We have those issues, which also stops us from valuing ourselves and what we ask for as
Yes.
much,
Mhm.
which is a whole nother Oprah, but is an issue. But it is an issue.
Yeah.
This has been so great, Kelley. I appreciate you so much coming on. I know you have something coming up that I think will really help people work through this and kick 2021 off to a great start. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So we've got a couple good things that are coming up, but one of the things that I'm really excited to announce is a upcoming visioning workshop and really taking a look at, what the vision was at the start of 2020, which I know for most it is not what we are currently in. But I know that this is often a time where people look back at all of the things they set out to do in 2020, and more often than not, people are like, oh, but I didn't ever get around to that. And so, we are holding a visioning workshop to really help people take a look back, do some reflection on what they set out to do in 2020, and make some really nice action steps for how they can accomplish more between now and the end of the year so that they are really out on the right foot and they've got some momentum moving into the new year.
I love that. How do we get more information about that?
I think honestly, we've been having some link issues with that, but I'm going to say the best thing to do for more information is just to send me an email, if that works, with
Yeah.
just visioning workshop in the subject line. So you can go ahead and you can just send an email to Kelley Tenny, KELLEYTENNY @gmail.com, and just put visioning workshop in the subject line. And I will be happy to get you all taken care of and signed up.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
That'll work. Thank you so much for this. Do you have any parting words? Something you maybe you're like, you know what? I need to tell them this that you'd want to share with us.
I really think it's just recognizing that imposter syndrome is something that everybody goes through. I think it's remembering that it's not something that goes away. And, I like to say that every time I hear that little voice, that like, who are you to think that kind of voice that pops in, to me, it's just a sign that you are, moving into new uncharted territory, right? It's like into the next level. What I've noticed is when that voice doesn't come, when I'm not dealing with imposter syndrome, it's usually when I'm in a comfortable place in my life. But it's recognizing that in a comfortable place, you're not growing,
Mm.
right? And so, learning to love, like, okay, there you are again. There's that voice, and recognizing that must mean that you are, working yourself into a new level. So, maybe trying to welcome that imposter syndrome.
Ooh, nice. That is deep. That'll preach right there.
Yeah.
I like that. And
Yeah.
it's a good reminder. Gives kind of comfort in the uncomfortable.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And I know that you have inspired and given a lot of hope and practical things that other network marketers can do to really get through or make it through or manage their imposter syndrome and not let that hinder them being their great self and rocking their business. So I really appreciate you coming on today, even with the technical difficulties.
Yes, you are so welcome. I'm happy to talk about it again, knowing that we're all in this together when it comes to, learning how to navigate. So it's been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. All right. So there you have it. It's been a while since we had a guest on the show, and I'm so glad we could talk about imposter syndrome because I know it's something that you and I struggle with on a regular basis, and we need to be reminded that it is okay. And that perhaps, as she said, it may be an indication that you are headed towards some exciting waters. If you're feeling like imposter, it means you're moving the ball forward. If you're not, maybe that you're a little too content and you need to move forward and get into that uncomfortable feeling. I'm so glad you listened today. Just a little behind the scenes, just so you know, we'll dive past the others. It is the 26th of October when we're recording this. So it's the Monday, the last Monday in October. And what we've been working on here in Social Stories is really holiday. Holiday has been all things. It's been great to see. This weekend, I hosted the holiday implementation workshop. And really the intent of it was to as a follow-up to the workshops I did earlier in the month and last month, to see where you guys were in your strategy and help you plan the next four weeks and know how to interpret your strategy and what you've been doing so far, your numbers. Well, when we opened it up, turns out that most people who came had not, even if they'd gone to the workshop before, they hadn't, life gets in the way, they hadn't actually gotten into holiday. But it being a week, 7 days before October is over, they're ready. And so we really did a nitty gritty, not only a quick overview of what was taught before, but really working on, okay, this is how we set up the plan, got them in motion, not only to set up a plan for the next 4 weeks, but also what to do that day, getting specials, getting their holiday in gear. And today they're out there with their end of the month, but still holiday plan. And so I'm excited and I've been excited looking and seeing that come into motion on their social media. So if that you're one of them, kudos to you for doing that. If you're like, I haven't done holiday yet, let's get on it. Let's get on this shtick. Let's get rolling with it because it's so important for you, not only for how you end this year, but how you go ahead and master the next year. So you can always find out information, the holiday toolkit, all things holiday. If you want to watch the podcast specifically on holiday or get some of the templates, the toolkit, the blueprint, just go to socialstoriesmembership.com/holiday and you get all the info there. Thank you so much for watching Roxtalks. I want to remind you and listening, you're not ahead, you're not behind, you're exactly where you need to be. And maybe that's feeling like an imposter, right? But that is okay. There's something there for you to learn. And I'm so glad you're here with me for another week of Roxtalks. I'll see you next week with a brand new episode. Bye there. Want more Roxtalks in your life? You don't want to wait till next week. I get that. Maybe you need some more encouragement, some strategy. Well, you can always find out more about what's going on by joining the free Facebook group, Social Media for Network Marketers. There, you're going to see 3 lives a week that gives you and gets you in motion and surrounded around people in the network marketing community, which is a powerful thing when you're growing your business. Just check out the free Facebook group. Information's down below, or if you're listening, just go to Social Stories HQ on Facebook and you will find all the info there. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and share this episode with someone you think needs to hear it. I so appreciate you, and I'll see you next week.